Hey, everybody. Welcome to Red's Corner. We are at a special location at the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. I have a booth here. My business is in financial services, and so I have a booth here. I actually got turned on to these guys because somebody I know who used to hold the world record for brick breaking um,
Oh,
had
wow.
like a fifth degree black belt, in like three different forms of martial arts, was telling me when I was telling him my market is 25 to 45, married, got kids, own a house with a mortgage. That's like my ideal client. And he's like, you should go talk to martial arts. So he gave me this guy's name that he used to compete with in brick breaking. And this year they're honoring veterans at the
Nice.
Martial Arts Hall of Fame banquet. So I'm here. So there's everybody's just setting up right now, but I'm really glad to have you on, being a veteran and having a background in martial arts. And we'll see if we
I
can't get
appreciate that.
some people to maybe do a little have a talk with a few people. So they're just setting up though right now.
They're just
So
setting
how
up
you
right
been,
now. How
Blake?
many are there fighters expected to come there, or walk around? Is this like a sponsor event for fighters? How does it work there at the MMA Hall of Fame?
Boy, you're really soft. It's really hard to hear you.
Really hard to hear me. I apologize about that. Let's see if I can fix some of that real quick. Um, but in regards to the MMA Hall of Fame, how's this event going to work? How is is there fighters coming there? Are there things?
Yeah, they're gonna have they're gonna have some exhibition. People have tables. I'm sitting across from Kim Blake.
Uh,
Get her, giving her a free promotion here. She's a internationally best-selling author, two-time uh, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. That'll be interesting.
awesome.
The
Definitely. How do you think that boxing and MMA compare to one another? Because you've got a lot of experience in boxing. You boxed with the Navy, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you for your service, by the way. Um, how do you compare boxing to MMA? Not just from the ring, the training, but from the fights to the promotions, to the whole big scope.
well, okay. So I took Taekwondo as like seventh grade for a couple weeks, in judo, and I love judo. I thought that was a blast, right? The Looking back on it, I wasn't patient enough. You know, it was the craziest thing because I just wanted to fight. I'm looking at this like it's my sister's cheerleading practice. Okay. And I'm like, these guys can't beat me, right? And now I'd started hitting the speed bag when I was like 7 years old.
Nice.
Okay. So, throwing hands, I had the neural pathways. I could throw bunches of punches. I was fast. Okay. And I've working on a farm. I was pretty strong for a little guy, hit hard. Okay. But then I started getting the real advanced level with Roy Jones Sr. training me, and he ratcheted me all the way back to like the bare basics. You know, I remember, you know, for the first 3 months in his gym, I'd run, do my exercise. I was already in good shape, but he got me to the point with him, you had to run hard. Like we ran at the high school track and he had a piece of PVC pipe about 3 feet long. And if you weren't running all out the whole time, you get a piece of that stick when
Yeah.
he went by, right? Same thing with shadow boxing and jump a rope and hitting the heavy bag. You had to go be all out all the time. But my I first started off just basically I couldn't jump rope. I look like a little girl on the playground jumping rope, right? And it was crazy because like after like 4 days now I'm spinning that rope like everybody else, which is the weirdest thing because I don't know what. All of a sudden I got it. It's just going from not being able to do it to just all of a sudden you got it. This is the weirdest thing, how your mind and your body react to that kind of training, right? But he had me throwing a jab at the air for 3 months. I couldn't hit nothing, till like my arm was gonna fall off, right?
Right.
And then finally, he put me in the ring. He put me in the ring with this kid. So I was 19, fighting at 125 pounds. And he put me in the ring with his 16-year-old who fought at 139 pounds. But the only reason that he was 139 pounder because his right arm, he was born with a birth defect. His right arm was shriveled up like a little chicken wing, but his left arm was like twice the size of a normal man's arm. So he's smashing my face like a human jackhammer, just jamming me, right? And I got mad and I threw my right hand. And Roy Sr.'s like, stop. And I'm like, he's like, why are you getting mad? I go, because he's hitting me. He goes, this is boxing. That's what he's supposed to do. And that logic was just overwhelming to me. And he says, the reason you're getting mad is because you can't figure out how to keep him from hitting you. And you're never going to figure out how to keep him from hitting you until you stop getting angry. Right. So I spent the next 3 months trying to keep my cool while I was getting punched in the face. Right. But I eventually learned to be able to do that. So in all of fighting, it's kind of funny. It's kind of odd how, like women boxing. You there? You back? Yeah, I lost you there for a minute. I lost you for a second. Told that whole story. You have to see it on the replay.
Yeah, we'll have to do that for sure.
But the point is, I learned that, you had to, that you ever heard him say you had to put your mind in neutral and your ass in gear?
Yes.
I learned that. I had to keep my mind cool, but still let the adrenaline flow. Yep. And be able to put out without letting my mind get carried away, without let myself getting angry, yep. be able to turn on that adrenaline. Okay. Right. And so, watching, when MMA first come out, I was kind of really critical, right? I'm like, man, I could just go down to the Yeo Plank in Imperial Beach and see a couple drunk Navy SEALs do this, right? But I started, my girlfriend, she answered an ad with Epic Fighting in San Diego, and that guy there was just getting started. So I started giving him, the main thing I was teaching him was you got to get your fighters to bring in, invite everybody they work with, their family, their friends, bring in. They got to bring in their own audience.
Right.
Okay. That was the main thing. Having like between fights, right? Having promotional t-shirts that the Round Car girls are throwing out. And then he brought, my girlfriend was a celebrity hairstylist. She did all the hair and makeup with for the Round Car girls. And, so that was my seat. I got ringside next to all the pretty girls. Nice. But so what I saw there was some guys that were really disciplined. They were really, their technique was impeccable. They were good strikers, not just with their hands, but with their feet. And then they knew how to, you take them to the ground, like, let's go, we can go down here too, right? They knew how, they had the jiu-jitsu background, and they knew, I'll get you an arm bar or I'll choke you out, right? So I could see I know as a boxer, just using my hands, I know a lot of little tricks to get control, being a short guy. Okay. Right. And this is bringing into this discussion of the fights like next weekend with Keith Thurman and Fundora. That guy's like, a junior welterweight at 6'5".
You,
The
you
guy's
saw
like,
that. You sent me that weigh-in where, or the face-off they were having where he pulled out the chair, got
yeah,
up on the
yeah.
chair.
Thurman's a great promoter, dude. Brought the chair, so he was
That was
had the higher
hilarious.
level.
That's
I
funny.
love that guy. Right. I hope he could do it. You know, being a little guy, having to fight guys always taller than me. You know, I learned that I had to stay in the inside. I had to be inside. I had the advantage because tall guys, you know, I'm inside that they can't do nothing. Okay. But this guy, Fendora, you know, he's really good with the uppercuts and the tight hooks on the inside. You don't want to stand in front of him.
No, no.
Okay.
He's
You got to,
Sebastian Cora, he said he's unconcerned about Keith Thurman, you know, and his height. He's convinced he's going to be victorious. He is.
yeah, well, on a guy like Fendora, you don't want to come out, there's, you don't want to stand in front of him. Okay. And so for somebody, your angle of attack coming in and out from different angles, like you come in from the right but come out to the left. Because when you hit somebody, they see a flash, right? But if they just hit where they last seen you, if that's where if you go right back to, they're going to hit you hard, right?
Yep.
You don't want to be where you were when you hit them. So, and if you ever had anybody do this to you, it's like flash, 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 right?
Yeah.
It's really hard. You get behind them, it's really hard to catch back up to them, right? But you don't want to, with someone like him with his reach, you don't want to be having to come in and out all the time. So when you're on inside, you turn angles. You're pivoting around him, and then ideally, you want to get the punch advantage. You want him to be looking at where you were, and you're looking at him from the profile.
Right.
Okay, outside of his line of fire.
Right? Because that all plays a part. Do you think because Thurman kind of slowed down his career after he got that big payday against Garcia, and the last 8 years he had maybe 4 fights, I think, since that time. Do you think the downtime in between there has cost any of his hand speed or his foot speed?
It all depends on what he was doing. It all depends on what he's doing. I had my nose broken, and so it was like 3 months, but I was working on technique,
Right.
and how to throw my jab, how to stand, get my feet right, how to move. And then I got my teeth knocked out twice. First time they put braces on me.
Wow.
And so no 3 months, man, no sparring, no fighting. And Roy Sr. made me, I had the key to the gym. I usually got there before everybody else. And after I did my running and my exercises and my jump rope, I was hitting the heavy bag nonstop until he got there. And then I had to start training all over again, with everybody else. So by the time I got back into the ring, my punching power was significantly better. I was knocking guys clean out of the ring. So during that, if you're doing something productive, if you're advancing yourself, you're developing new techniques, whatever, or working on your endurance or your strength or whatever it is, it all depends on what you're doing during the off time.
Okay, let me ask you this: you think Thurman, because there's been a lot of talk about Thurman and the questioning of the title shot that he's getting against Fedor. Like, do you think he rates the title shot? Do you think this is a good pick? Like, what? Why is there so many rumors? I'm looking at comments off of the Boxing News, right? And you got J Mac. He's like, it's the champ's choice of opponents, but his pick is simply shit. Low risk, probably high money. You got Matty Matt saying Thurman doesn't deserve a title shot anyway. You got Scooter Boy saying good money without high risk. What do you think? Do you think Thurman deserves a shot at the title?
Yeah, I think he deserves a shot. He's no joke. Thurman's no joke. Even when he fought Pacquiao, and Pacquiao dropped him that first round,
right?
He tried to make a fight of it. I mean, that was an action fight the whole time. Okay, and yeah, he's it all, like I said, it all depends on what he's been doing. He's gotten stronger. He's definitely got more muscle on his frame than he was earlier in his career, which, he just can't stand in front of Fundora. Fundora throws good technique on his punches. He throws a lot of punches and he throws them hard. He knows how, for a tall guy, he knows how to fight inside. Okay. So you just can't, if you get inside, you got to get inside on him, but you can't stand right in front of him. You got to pivot. You got to be able to turn them angles. One of the technique, Roy Jones Sr. taught us how to draw circles where you can throw multiple hooks or, circle punches. That would be uppercuts and hooks, right? And a technique. And so I learned that if I threw a left hook and I caught somebody and made his head turn, I just kept turning that circle. I wouldn't let him get his head back. Or I could throw a left hook and a left uppercut, get his head going up and down, just never get, they could never catch back up, right? Or then I start throwing straight right hand and they get their head turned. I just keep throwing that right hand, keeping that head turned. They fall down. And then I'm like, oh. So then when I hit them with a left hook and I get their head turned, I would keep drawing my right foot back to give me room to throw that right hand, and they go down. I started knocking people out on purpose, which I had like 5 knockouts where I couldn't tell you how I knocked them out. I had to think about it. I had to think about, what I was trying to do when I was trying to be quick and sneak a punch in, and they fell down. And so I'm like, okay, speed on the punches, that's the key. So I'm telling this to Roy Jones Sr., and he's like, okay, well, what people, you have this misconception, there's some magic button here, that'll knock you out. It's not that. It's right angles to your brain. Your brain is held in fluid and these little threads that hold your brain in place. And when you get hit hard enough and fast enough to either, your head goes back past mechanical stop. When you look at Buster Douglas knocking out Mike Tyson, that's exactly what happened. His head went, his brain kept going and crashed into his skull, right? Or you hit him hard enough, the shocking effect, their brain rattles around their skull, they go down, okay? And so when I started hitting people with that intent, they started falling down, okay? And it's a mystery until you unlock it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So with Fundora, he's got skill. He isn't just tall, but that helps, right? Having that reach and that tall. And he knows how to fight inside. If you're going to stand right in front of him, it's going to be a long night. You got to turn them in. You got to keep out from in front of him. You want to be where he's looking at nothing and you're on his profile. So if Keith Thurman can do that, then, and then once you get control of their head, their head's going up and down to the side or turn to the side, they're not hitting you. They can't see you, can't hit you. And you can do some damage to them, and he could get him out of there if he can do that.
Right on.
Did you ever see the first fight with Costa Tszyu and or Tim Tszyu and Fundora, the first fight?
I didn't see that first fight. No.
Oh man, they're both a bloody mess. Both of them, their face just blood everywhere, right? And then the second time, we all thought it was going to be the same way, and Fundora got him out of there. Fundora overwhelmed Tszyu, and he's probably thinking about retiring after that, right? So what I'm saying is Fundora he'll come to fight. That tall, skinny, lurch looking guy is got skills and he'll come to fight. But Keith Thurman comes to fight too. It's just who's going to use their technique the best is going to win that fight.
Any other fights on that card you think are worth mentioning or talking about?
Far away.
Any other fights on that card you think are worth mentioning and or talking about?
Well, I just saw yesterday that they're getting ready to sign the Pacquiao Rolly Romero fight. That's going to be interesting. They both.
That is going to be interesting.
Romero hits hard. He doesn't throw as many punches as Pacquiao. He tries to be more of a counter puncher. And he's got some skill. He's got some skill. He knows how to, he's his last fight against Garcia. He learned to punch in between Garcia's punches and dropped him. He didn't knock him out, but he got the advantage in that fight. It's going to be a good fight. He can't take if Pacquiao still has his power, then he could probably drop Romero. That's looking like that's going to come in November or December. That fight's going to happen, but they're getting ready to sign that fight. So and then you got Tank Davis, Gervonta Davis, and Jake Paul. That's a freak show, but Davis has power for a little guy.
Right.
He throws a lot more punches, and he can hurt Jake Paul. Jake Paul's big. If he hits him, he can hurt him, but it's going to be a clown show. He's going to make, you'll see a definite difference in skill level between the two of them.
Gotcha. Now, I heard rumor, that the Pacquiao versus Romero could be staged in Saudi with Turki Al-Sheikh's blessing, turning it to like this global blockbuster. You think that's going to happen?
Say that again.
I said I've heard rumor that the Pacquiao Romero fight could be staged in Saudi Arabia. You think that's going to happen?
Oh, they both probably hope it does. Right. That's going to be really interesting.
The most right now.
I know, right?
What makes?
I think you and I see the same burger.
What makes it's all about the draw, right? Pacquiao's going to have the whole nation of the Philippines that are his audience. And, Romero's got a Latino heritage. Mexicans love boxing. That's another big demographic. So that could be a big draw. Pacquiao always brings the audience, brings his audience. Ideally, if Romero wins, he's going to capture that audience. If he can beat him, then he'll gain a new following. Okay. And that's going to make him worth more money. They're going to make money on that fight because Pacquiao always brings the audience. Okay. That's the trick. That's the big problem with Terrence Crawford. He doesn't have the audience yet. He may have grabbed some of Canelo's audience. I mean, he almost has to fight Canelo again just to make it worth, be able to pay him the amount of money they want to be paid. And that's the whole game. I mean, I was out, I think we were talking about it, which is odd. I saw somebody that was went round by round scoring that fight. And they had Crawford winning, but at a very small margin, smaller than the judges. And Crawford was complaining that the judges were trying to steal that fight from him. They actually gave him
more credit
than this guy did. That was, taking his time, looking at the replay and grading the fight. I had it close, okay, but the sanctioning bodies want the guys that are going to garner a larger purse. And what garners a larger purse is their fan base. Okay. So the more money, the more fans that you bring in, the more money you're going to make. And that's the challenge with Crawford. He's got to, he's not a Sugar Ray Leonard with the gold medal and, that charm, I mean, maybe he does. Nobody's seen enough of him to know if he does or not. He's trying to get out there, getting on talk shows, getting on podcasts as much as he can, trying to get himself known. And that's going to help. He's they're all trying to make that happen. Even the UBO trying to get Congress to vote on the changes to the Muhammad Ali Act to allow a promoter to control a sanctioning body, right? And they shot it down. The state of California's representatives all voted against it, and that's the majority of the votes in Congress. And they voted it. But
do you
just
think
having that
there's a role
publicity
in that with Dana White? I
brings
gotta ask this question.
attention to it. So attention to it brings more fans, more attention, more money.
What do you feel about Dana White's presence with the with Saudi representation and the UBO trying to take over the boxing piece to regulate, control it like the UFC?
Well, he's doing what everybody's always tried to do. I mean, if you follow that, there was just the WBA,
Right.
and then Muhammad Ali beat or got beat by Leon Spinks, and they wanted an immediate rematch, and so Don King wanted an immediate rematch. No, hang on, back up. They wanted an immediate rematch, so the WBA granted him an immediate rematch, but Don King was representing Kenny Norton, and Kenny Norton was the number one ranked, and so they created the new belt, the WBC, and Larry Holmes and Ken Norton fought for that new belt. Okay, and it was an epic fight. It was a great fight. Okay, and Larry Holmes became the face of heavyweight boxing with the WBC. He made the WBC belt the primary belt after that. Then along came, and Don King had something to do with that too, the IBF, right? And and then now by the time Roy Jones Jr. was the unified light heavyweight champion, he held the belts for 13 different sanctioning bodies. So they all make their money. They make their money. They get anywhere from 4 to 6% of the champion's purse,
Right.
and they get like 3 to 4% of the challenger's purse for the fights. Okay, the more money, the bigger the purse, the more money the sanctioning body makes. So with the WBO is notorious for when somebody unifies the belt, they strip them right away so they can have another title fight. That's how they keep making money.
That's ridiculous. That is
right.
Ridiculous.
That's how it all works, right? We're trying to change that with the WTBA, and our fight in October 11th. That's that we had to suspend that. We're for now, we weren't able to get that together. It could be in the future. The venue's open for us. We got tribes we're working with we've been working with for a long time, getting ready to open up their venues for us to have shows. As soon as I get something happening, I'll let you know. But weekend coming up, we got the Keith Thurman and Vendora. That's going to be a very interesting fight. I'm hoping Keith Thurman can get his technique together enough to make that happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that would be good.
He got the personality. He's got a personality that people will like. He's funny. He's audacious. That whole standing on the chair doing the face off with Fendora. That's classic, right?
Yeah, that's Instagram, TikTok, social material for sure. While you're out there,
it's getting kind of loud in here, and I'm having a hard time hearing you. I will next time we'll be back in the studio
Okay.
for with DNA. And we'll have something to talk about, you know, right before the Thurman and Fendora fight.
Okay.
All right. Thank you
Sounds
so
good.
much,
We'll
man.
talk to you in a bit. Yes, sir.
All right.
Bye.